Hello, everyone. This is Darcinova here, back once again with another Wheel of Time review. I know it's been a long time since I reviewed a Wheel of Time book, and it's been even longer since I've actually reviewed, a book part of the main series. The last time I reviewed a Wheel of Time book was the prequel, and, well, it took me a while, but I finally read through Lord of Chaos. Lord of Chaos is the sixth book in the series, and it's a tome, just like the rest of the series. Now, like the others, a lot of stuff is in this book. It's packed. But what do I think of this? Does this book progress the plot? Does this book, you know, give us new insights on the characters that were introduced in Eye of the World? Yes, I do think a lot of stuff does happen. A lot of developments does happen, especially with Egwene in the first few books was, to me, she was pretty annoying. I wasn't a fan of Egwene. She was probably one of my least favorite characters. And every time an Egwene chapter popped up, I was like, oh God, please. Please, can we just get back to Ran or Perrin, please? Well, considering I was deprived of my boy Perrin for like 2 books straight almost, I had to learn to deal with Egwene. Now, spoiler for those who haven't read Lord of Chaos yet, I'm not going to warn you again. If you don't want spoilers, I suggest you skip to at least a minute ahead. Okay, I've warned you. All right. Egwene essentially becomes the Amelin seat. The Aes Sedai are going through a civil war, and this book is building up to a huge conflict with the White Tower. And Egwene becoming the Amelin seat was foreshadowed in the third book in the series, Dragon Reborn. Dragon Reborn foreshadowed this 3 books beforehand, so if you paid attention, you know this was coming. Egwene becoming, the Amelin seat is a interesting development and perhaps one of the biggest developments in this series so far. Either other than Rand, accepting assistance from Lewis Theron. Now, for those who have reading this series up until this point, you know that these books are getting longer and longer. Now, does this book drag? No, surprisingly. For a book that was like close to 1,000 pages, the book felt kind of short, to be honest. A lot of stuff happened really quickly, and unless you're paying attention to what you're reading, you're going to get lost in later books. Book 4, 5, and 6 had a lot of stuff in it. And this book, how do I feel compared to the other one that came before it, Fires of Heaven? I actually preferred this book because I feel like a lot more stuff happened than Fires of Heaven, and I felt like it was better paced than Fires of Heaven. And not to mention, I felt like every Signal storyline was interesting, including Egwene, who is not my favorite character, but I've grown to, tolerate her, and I'm interested to see how her story goes. Nynaeve in this book, another spoiler, managed to heal a stilled Aes Sedai and Logain. Now, this is a big development, I believe. Don't spoil the book for me, people who have already read the series, that this is going to have major repercussions later in the series. Because in earlier books, it was said, healing a stilled Aes Sedai, or anyone that was stilled, was impossible. Well, Nynaeve managed to do it, which I am really interested to see how this goes later in the series. Now, at this point, everybody essentially, who is part of the main cast is already raised to Aes Sedai, which causes some friction with some of the people in, you know, the Aes Sedai, considering they don't, appreciate people who were barely accepted becoming full-fledged Aes Sedai. And I'm interested to see where this development goes. Every single chapter in this book was a page turner, and every single chapter made me just want to continue reading more, and more. And Perrin, even though he appears towards the very end of this novel, I really did love his interaction with Rand, because we haven't seen these two interact since book 4, and Perrin's married, and he's essentially the Lord of the Two Rivers. And seeing how that is going with him and Rand, and seeing Rand becoming more cold because he's being more accepting towards his destiny, man, there's so much stuff to talk about. I could talk about this for an hour, honestly, with Lord of Chaos. Lord of Chaos is the longest book of the series that I've read up until this point, and not a single dull moment in this book. Fires of Heaven, is pretty good as well. A lot of developments happen in that one. The last 3 books in this series have been extremely long, and it looks like from here the books will get a little bit shorter, but not by much. So it's going to be interesting to see where the book series goes, considering I don't know what happens in book 7, 8, 9, or 10. I did hear that the series does drag, starting with the 7th or 8th book. I don't know for sure. But anyway, I'm eagerly looking forward to reading the 7th book, Crown of Swords. Though it's going to be a little while, considering I have another book I'm going to review after this one, and that's going to be the 2nd book in the Mistborn trilogy, The Wall of Ascension. That will be my next book review. See you guys next time with another review, and may we live long and prosper. Thank you.